Hello, my name is Thomas. I am 39 years old and currently I am on sabbatical. And in today's video, I want to talk about the concept of living with intention. And what inspired me to make this video was, another YouTube video of a young man in his 20s, and he was talking about his life so far. He had studied math, gotten degrees in it, and worked in the field for a little bit, and now he was back home living with his parents, working a minimum wage job.
Hello, this is Thomas here in editing, and I realized that I didn't talk about one thing during the original filming, which is that if you are someone who is either living at home with your parents or working a minimum wage job, there's absolutely nothing wrong. For me personally, there was a point in my 30s when I was living at home with my parents and working a minimum wage job, and it's just what I needed to do to figure out the next step for me at that point in my life. Okay, that's it. Back to the video.
And I think if we imagine life to be us on like a raft, and the river of life has strong currents and we're just there and we're just sort of going down this river, and it felt to me like he had just pulled up his paddle and he was just drifting along. He had let life sort of take him in whichever direction, and that's how he ended up where he was. And I just want to say I was the same way in my mid-20s. I was also probably drifting along. I think it's really hard for people to live with intentionality, to live with intention. I think for the first reason, if we're talking about young people, is that you don't realize as a young person that you do have agency and you can be intentional about which direction you want your life to move in. It takes a long time to realize that, and no one really just comes and tells you like, hey, if you don't like where you are right now, you can do things to move to a different path. So for me, when I was in my mid-20s, I was working in financial communications. I was not really suited for it. Like, I wasn't really great at it. It just wasn't a great fit for me. And I wasn't happy with my situation, but I was just sort of drifting along. I kind of fell into that space in that industry randomly on accident, and I probably stayed a little too long in there. But no one had told me, or I guess I didn't realize that, and this is all with the benefit of hindsight, of course, that you could just decide to like say, hey, I don't like where I'm at right now. I don't like what I'm doing. And I could do things with intention. I can set some actionable steps of how I want to move towards a different path. So I think one thing I do want to be clear about is that I am not saying if you want to change your life that it's going to happen really quickly. What I am saying is that if you're not happy with the situation you're in and you do want to change that, we have the power and ability to set actions and that will move us towards that different path. And what the end result will be is probably not exactly what you picture or imagine, but I can guarantee you that if you take steps to move towards a different path, that you will eventually get there. And I think the second reason that I think it's hard, especially for young people, to live with intention is that we just don't really know what direction we want to head in. Like, if you asked me in my mid-20s and I was unhappy with my job and my career and where I was headed, if you asked me like, hey Thomas, you don't like your current situation, you want to do something different, like what do you want to do? And if I'm being perfectly honest, I would have said, I don't know. Like, I just didn't know what else was out there. And I think it takes some time for us to figure out what it is that interests us, what it is that we're good at, and like which direction we want to head to. Another thing that's challenging about setting intentions and living with intention is it's all context specific. And right now I am 39 years old, and most of my friends, I don't know most, but many of them are married and have young kids. It'd be very hard for them to say, I am going to live intentionally and change up something about my life. So for example, this year I went to go abroad and live in another country for a few months. Like, my friends who have kids in school, they can't do that. Like, you can't make that decision and try to go down that path. So there's really just a very small window, I think, where you know what direction you want to head in life and what path you want to go down, and also you aren't tied down by obligations and responsibilities, and you could reasonably pursue them. I think where we go from here is, in 2025 I am on sabbatical again, and this is the second time that I've gone sabbatical in the past couple of years. The first was in 2023, and during that sabbatical I was not very intentional at all. And what I mean by that is I was mostly just relaxing. I spent a lot of time relaxing in my apartment. I did take some online courses to fill the time. One thing I really wanted to do was travel to a couple countries in Asia, which I did. And the plan was take a break, and then when you're ready, just apply to jobs and go back to work. And 6 months into my sabbatical in 2023, someone at TikTok reached out to me. They saw I'd experience being a solutions consultant, first at Facebook, then at Amazon, and they said, hey, we want you to come to TikTok, do the same thing. I just took it. I didn't really think too much about it. The salary was pretty good. It was going to be doing a job that I've done before and definitely can do. So there wasn't that much to think about in that regard. Oh, hi. They're dogs following me. So I would say it wasn't with a lot of intention. It was just something that came to me, and I decided to take it. And I think that's why in 2025 on this sabbatical is to be very intentional, and to be very intentional specifically that I want to try to do. So one is work for myself as a marketing consultant. Another is try to write a book. Third, as I mentioned, move to a different country, live there for at least a few months. And the last is what I'm doing here, starting a YouTube channel, making videos, sharing my experiences, telling stories, show people what it's like to be on sabbatical. I think one of the challenges is that if we don't see something, then it's hard for us to picture it and imagine doing it ourselves. So I'm hoping that my content will be helpful to others, people who want to take a break from working full time and living with intention, trying something new. Yeah, that's it. That's all I've got. That's all I got for this video. If you made it this far, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. And as always, take care of yourself. If you can, someone else too.